Hello again, peaceful heart. Tonight's story is about a tiny bell, so quiet that it could only be heard when your eyes were closed and your dreams had begun. In a little village at the edge of a misty forest, there stood a bell tower. But this bell wasn't like any other. It didn't ring in the morning. It didn't toll at noon. It didn't sound for weddings or storms. This bell only rang in dreams. No one had ever seen it move, not even the birds that nested near its silver edges. But every so often, a child would wake up and say, "I heard a soft bell last night, and I had the most beautiful dream." The bell's name was Lumi. She was small and smooth and sat very still, but she listened carefully to the world below. Lumi waited each night for silence, for the moment when the village grew still, when lights dimmed and thoughts softened. That's when she'd hum. Not a loud ring, just a gentle ding, like a breath turned into sound. And in that moment, dreams would begin. One night, a boy named Emil whispered a wish as he closed his eyes. "I hope I fly tonight." Lumi heard him. She gave a tiny ring, soft as moonlight, and in Emil's dream, wings grew from his shoulders. He soared over fields of starlight, glided over sleepy rivers, and floated above clouds that sang lullabies. Another night, a girl named Mara wished for a quiet place to rest. Lumi chimed again, just once, and Mara dreamed of a valley filled with glowing flowers and slow, sleepy winds that carried her gently across the grass. Lumi never rang twice in the same dream. Once was enough, because her sound didn't wake you. It wrapped around your dream like a ribbon. And no matter where the dream took you, that soft chime stayed with you, keeping you safe and calm. When morning came, the bell sat silently, just like before, still, quiet, waiting for the next dreamer. Close your eyes now, little one. Maybe, just maybe, you'll hear the quiet bell tonight. And if you do, follow where it leads. Good night. Hello, sweet dream sailor. Tonight's story is about a very special bed. One that didn't just stay still, but rocked gently like a boat on a quiet sea. In a quiet attic room, under a slanted ceiling and a window full of stars, there lived a small bed made of smooth wood and soft blankets. The bed belonged to a boy named Jonas. It looked ordinary by day, neatly made, pillows fluffed, covers tucked in, but at night, when the stars peeked in and the wind slowed to a hush, the bed would shift, just a little. It would sway gently from side to side, like a tiny boat floating on invisible waves. The first time it happened, Jonas thought he was dreaming. He felt the sway, the soft creak of the wooden frame, and the quiet hum of movement. He opened one eye, then the other. The room was still, but his bed was rocking, reassuringly. Not fast, not scary, just slow, like someone was holding it with careful hands. Jonas smiled and pulled the blanket tighter around his shoulders. Each night after that, the bed would rock again, and soon it became their bedtime rhythm. As Jonas closed his eyes, the bed would begin to float, up, up, just a little, carried by calm and quiet. Out the window, the stars would blink slowly. Below, the floor would vanish into a soft sea of dreams. The bed never left the room, but in Jonas's mind, it sailed across dream oceans, past glowing islands made of pillows, under skies where whales sang lullabies, through waters filled with sleepy jellyfish and yawning dolphins. And every time the bed rocked, Jonas drifted deeper, safe and warm, like being held by the sea itself. By morning, the bed rested quietly on the floor again, just as before. But Jonas knew the truth. His bed was more than furniture. It was a boat, a cradle, a dream vessel. And each night, it would wait quietly until he was ready to sail again. Close your eyes now, little traveler. Let your bed rock you softly tonight. Not across the room, but across the stars. Good night. Hello again, sleepy friend. Tonight's story is about a pair of tiny shoes that didn't move during the day, but danced, skipped, and wandered far once dreams began. In a quiet corner of a little room sat a pair of soft shoes. They were not shiny. They weren't new. They had no laces, no lights, no squeaks. But they had something special inside them. Dream steps. You see, these shoes had been worn by many children before, and every time they carried a child through dreams, they remembered. They remembered puddles made of stars, clouds that bounced, and playgrounds built in the sky. Now they belonged to a girl named Mira. Each morning, Mira would slip them on and shuffle around the house. They didn't go fast. They didn't make much noise. They were just shoes. But at night, once Mira climbed into bed, closed her eyes, and drifted off, the shoes woke up. Very quietly, they wiggled their soles, stretched their tiny tongues, and tiptoed to the edge of the bed. And then they lifted into the air, one step, then two, and waited for Mira's dream to begin. In her dream, Mira would find herself walking through gardens that glowed in the dark, where butterflies wore pajamas and trees told bedtime jokes. The shoes always knew where to go. Sometimes they led her over dream bridges that swayed gently over lullaby rivers. Sometimes they took her across soft sand that hummed with sleepy melodies. Sometimes they just walked beside her, step by step, while the stars above blinked in rhythm. Mira never tripped, never got lost, because the shoes remembered every dream they had ever visited. And when the dream was done, and morning light kissed the sky, the shoes quietly returned to the corner, still, soft, silent, waiting for the next adventure. So tonight, if your shoes are resting by your bed, thank them gently. They just might be waiting for your dream to begin. Good night. Hello again, sleepy friend. Tonight's story is about a pair of tiny shoes that didn't move during the day, but danced, skipped, and wandered far once dreams began. In a quiet corner of a little room sat a pair of soft shoes. They were not shiny. They weren't new. They had no laces, no lights, no squeaks. No squeaks. But they had something special inside them. Dream steps. You see, these shoes had been worn by many children before, and every time they carried a child through dreams, they remembered. They remembered puddles made of stars, clouds that bounced, and playgrounds built in the sky. Now they belonged to a girl named Mira. Each morning, Mira would slip them on and shuffle around the house. They didn't go fast. They didn't make much noise. They were just shoes. But at night, once Mira climbed into bed, closed her eyes, and drifted off, the shoes woke up. Very quietly, they wiggled their soles, stretched their tiny tongues, and tiptoed to the edge of the bed. And then they lifted into the air, one step, then two, and waited for Mira's dream to begin. In her dream, Mira would find herself walking through gardens that glowed in the dark, where butterflies wore pajamas and trees told bedtime jokes. The shoes always knew where to go. Sometimes they led her over dream bridges that swayed gently over lullaby rivers. Sometimes they took her across soft sand that hummed with sleepy melodies. Sometimes they just walked beside her, step by step, while the stars above blinked in rhythm. Mira never tripped, never got lost, because the shoes remembered every dream they had ever visited. And when the dream was done, and morning light kissed the sky, the shoes quietly returned to the corner, still, soft, silent, waiting for the next adventure. So tonight, if your shoes are resting by your bed, thank them gently. They just might be waiting for your dream to begin. Good night. The button that turned off the world. Hello, sleepy explorer. Tonight's story is about a tiny button, one that didn't beep, flash, or buzz, just quietly turned off the world, one piece at a time. There once was a little boy named Theo, who had a special box on his nightstand. It wasn't fancy, just a small wooden box with one round button in the center. The button didn't make noise, it didn't light up, it didn't even click. But every night, when Theo pressed it, the world would begin to slow down, piece by pieceful piece. One evening, just after brushing his teeth and crawling under the covers, Theo placed his finger gently on the button and whispered, "Good night, world." He pressed it, and the magic began. First, the lights dimmed, turning golden, then soft, then off. Then the toys stopped moving, frozen mid-play, like they were saying, "See you tomorrow." Outside, the wind grew quieter. The leaves stopped rustling. Even the birds fluffed their feathers and tucked their beaks beneath their wings. The button's magic didn't turn things off like a switch. It hushed them, soothed them, wrapped them in stillness. Theo imagined the button sending waves of quiet across the globe. The oceans sighed and grew calm. The clouds paused mid-drift. The stars sparkled a little more slowly. Even the moon blinked once, then glowed gently, ready for night. Theo took a deep breath. He felt the stillness in his toes, his knees, his chest. Everything was slowing, like soft music fading into silence. He whispered to the button one last time, "Thank you." And as his eyes closed, the world outside faded into peaceful slumber. Some people used bedtime routines. Theo just needed one gentle press, and the world knew it was time to sleep. Now, little one, imagine your own button, quiet and kind. When you press it tonight, let everything around you grow still. Shh, shh, the world is ready. Good night. When the stars tied their shoelaces. Hello, tiny stargazer. Tonight's story is about the stars. Yes, real stars, and the quiet little thing they do before they start to shine. Far, far above the clouds, even higher than the tallest mountains, live the stars. They don't just appear at night with a pop. They get ready, just like you. Before shining bright across the sky, the stars have a quiet little routine. They stretch, they whisper to one another, and they tie their shoelaces. Yes, really. Stars wear soft silver slippers with tiny laces that glow just a little. Not everyone knows this, only the dreamers do. One night, as the sky was turning from orange to deep blue, a little girl named Nia lay in bed, staring out her window. She loved watching the first stars appear, but tonight they were late. Nia whispered, "Where are you?" Then, just above the clouds, she saw them, hundreds of twinkling stars, sitting on a soft sky bench, tying their shoelaces very carefully. Some tied slowly, double knots. Some needed help from other stars. A few stars giggled, dropping their laces and starting over. Nia giggled too. She imagined one star named Pip, who always tied his shoes backwards, and another star named Lulu, who hummed quietly while she tied hers. Once their shoelaces were snug and neat, the stars began to float gently into the sky, one by one, glowing just a little brighter with every step. Pip tripped once and did a little twirl before he found his place. Lulu twinkled a bit too brightly and had to calm down. They were silly, they were quiet, and they were beautiful. Soon, the sky was full of stars, each perfectly tied and softly glowing. From her bed, Nia yawned, smiled, and whispered, "Good job, stars. Thank you." As her eyes grew heavier, she imagined them waving down at her, their laces sparkling gently like ribbons in the breeze. And when she finally drifted off to sleep, her dreams were filled with tiny stars dancing in silver slippers, tiptoeing across the sky. Tonight, close your eyes and picture your own stars, tying their slippers, getting ready just for you. Sleep well, little dreamer. Hello, gentle heart. Tonight's story is about a dream that wandered a little too far and how it found its way back home. There once was a dream, soft and round like a cloud, glowing faintly like starlight. It belonged to a little boy named Luca. Every night, after Luca brushed his teeth and crawled under the covers, the dream would float down gently and wrap around his thoughts like a warm blanket. But one night, something strange happened. As Luca fell asleep, the dream got distracted. It saw something shiny drifting outside the window. A comet. And so the dream followed it, just for a moment. But the comet was fast, and the dream lost sight of Luca's house. The stars looked different from out there. Everything felt far. The dream began to worry. "Where's Luca? I have to get back." It floated over rooftops, down chimneys, across forests of sleeping trees. It passed by other dreams, bright, loud, dancing. But this dream wasn't like them. It wasn't trying to be exciting or big. It just wanted to return to Luca, to bring him comfort and soft images like bubble boats, feathered kites, and quiet places where hugs never ended. Then, far below, it heard something familiar, a breath. A soft sigh, Luca turning in his sleep. The dream followed the sound, slowly, quietly, until it reached Luca's window. There he was, curled up, blanket around his knees, one hand reaching out gently, as if he were waiting. The dream didn't wait. It slipped through the air, wrapped around Luca's hand, and whispered, "I'm here!" And Luca smiled in his sleep. That night, The dream didn't show him wild adventures or flying dragons. It gave him soft clouds to lie on, warm rivers to float through, and stars that hummed quietly in the background. It stayed close the whole night, never wandering again, and Luca slept deeper than ever before. If you've ever lost a dream, don't worry. They always find their way back. Close your eyes now. Yours might already be here. Good night. Hello, tiny dreamer. Tonight's story is about a little rain cloud, so soft and sleepy that all it ever wanted was a nap of its own. High above the treetops, where the wind dances and birds sing their morning songs, lived a little rain cloud named Droppy. Droppy wasn't like the other clouds. While the big clouds puffed proudly and rode through the sky, bringing rain and shade and thunder, Droppy just wanted to curl up and nap. But every time Droppy found a nice spot in the sky to rest, the sun would tickle it, or the wind would nudge it, or the other clouds would call out, "Come on, Droppy, time to drizzle." Droppy would "hi" and sprinkle a few raindrops just to be polite. But deep down, all it wanted was one peaceful, quiet nap. One evening, as the sky turned pink and soft, Droppy floated away from the busy part of the sky. It found a corner above a quiet hill where everything below was still. Children were heading to bed. Windows glowed warmly. Even the trees swayed like they were getting sleepy. This, thought Droppy, feels like a nap place. So Droppy wrapped its fluff around itself like a blanket, let out a long, misty ah, and finally began to rest. As Droppy napped, something magical happened. The wind calmed, the stars blinked slower, and soft mist drifted down like a lullaby. The children in the village didn't feel rain that night, just a gentle coolness, like the sky itself was cuddling them. Mothers, "Smells like sleepy rain tonight." Fathers, "Shh, the clouds are resting." And all the while, Droppy dreamed its own dreams, of pillows made of fog, of stars that whispered lullabies, and of sleeping on the moon. When morning came, the sky was clear and bright, and Droppy, still floating gently, softer than ever, rested and happy. Tonight, if you hear a soft hush in the air, it might be Droppy nearby, sharing its nap with you. Close your eyes, little one. The sky is sleepy too. Good night. Hello again, cozy one. Tonight's story is about a blanket. Not just warm and soft, but magical, because it could catch dreams as they floated by. There once was a little blanket named Tuka. It was soft like a cloud, the color of early morning sky, and just the right size for one small child. Tuka lived at the end of a bed in a quiet room with a star-shaped nightlight and a shelf full of picture books. Every night, when the child snuggled under it, Tuka would gently unfold itself and stretch, not just to cover the child, but to open its hidden gift. Tuka could catch dreams. Not all dreams, just the gentle ones, the kind that drifted slowly through the air before bedtime, like bubbles made of feelings and light. One evening, as the moon rose and the room dimmed, the child whispered, "I wonder what I'll dream tonight." Tuka smiled quietly. Blankets don't talk, but they can still smile in their own way. It waited, listening. Then it felt the first dream drift near. It was soft and blue, shaped like a boat made of feathers. Tuka caught it, wrapped it in its threads and shared it with the child, who smiled in their sleep and sailed across a sea of music. Another night, a golden dream floated near, this one shaped like a balloon carrying a sleepy bear. Tuka caught that one too. Some dreams came with scents, like warm cinnamon or new books. Some looked like glowing butterflies. Tuka caught them gently, never too tight, and always with care. But one night, a stormy dream tried to sneak in, gray and spiky. Tuka felt it coming and puffed up all its fluff, shielding the child like a wall of peace. The dream bounced off and floated away, back into the sky. Tuka didn't just catch dreams, it protected them. When morning light finally peeked through the curtains, the child would stretch and whisper, "I had the best dream last night." Tuka stayed still. Blankets don't brag. But deep down, it was proud. Because Tuka knew its job was more than keeping warm. It helped turn sleep into a place of wonder. Tonight, when you crawl under your blanket, imagine it's like Tuka, ready to catch dreams as they float in. Close your eyes. The softest dreams are already on their way. Hi there, sleepy toes. Tonight's story is about a staircase made not of wood or stone, but of marshmallows. And it only appears when you are truly ready for bed. In a small, peaceful village where dreams floated like dandelion seeds, there was a legend whispered among children. When your body grows still and your eyes get heavy, a staircase made of marshmallows will appear just for you. No one had seen it during the day. It only appeared at night, and only for those who were ready to sleep. One such night, a little girl named Lenny yawned a very big yawn. She had brushed her teeth, put on her coziest pajamas, and cuddled up with her pillow. But before her eyes closed, she noticed something odd in the corner of her room. A soft step, then another, then more. Each one was fluffy, white, and slightly glowing. They stacked gently upward, reaching into the air like a soft, glowing ladder of clouds. Lenny slipped out of bed and gently placed one foot on the first step. It didn't squish too much, just enough to feel cozy. With every step she climbed, the world grew quieter. She heard whispers of lullabies in the air. She felt her body grow lighter, not sleepy tired, just floaty. The marshmallow steps led her past a window where owls blinked slowly, past trees with closed eyes, past clouds that sighed. When she reached the very top, there wasn't a door, there wasn't a room, just a big soft bed waiting in the stars. Lenny climbed into it and sank deep, deeper, until she felt weightless. The stars above blinked kindly. The air hummed like a hug. A soft voice whispered, "You've climbed the marshmallow steps. Now, rest." Lenny smiled, closed her eyes, and drifted into the gentlest dream. And when morning came, she woke up in her own bed, warm, rested, and full of wonder. Maybe tonight, if you're very still and very ready, you'll see your first marshmallow step appear. Close your eyes now. They only come when you're ready. Good night. Good evening, little dreamer. Tonight's story is about a soft, curious pillow and its quiet journey following the moon across the sky. In a small, quiet bedroom, there lived a pillow named Moona. She was just like any other pillow, fluffy, gentle, and perfectly shaped for sleepy heads. But Moona had one special wish. She wanted to know where the moon went after everyone fell asleep. Each night, the moon would rise, casting soft, silver light across the room. Moona would watch from under the sleepy child's head, feeling the moonlight touch her fabric. It felt like magic. One night, as the child slept deeply and quietly, a gentle breeze slipped through the window, and something strange happened. Moona wiggled. She lifted, just a little, then floated softly into the air. She looked back once, making sure the child was still sleeping peacefully. Then, slowly and silently, she drifted out the window, following the moon. The moon moved gently across the sky, and Moona floated behind it like a sleepy balloon. She passed over rooftops and forests, over quiet lakes and yawning animals. She saw raccoons cuddling under trees, deer resting in tall grass, and owls blinking slowly from branches. Everyone was calm. Everyone was dreaming. As she followed the moon, Moona noticed how it never rushed. It moved with grace, like a lullaby without music. That's when Moona realized something beautiful. The moon wasn't just moving through the sky. It was watching over the whole world, spreading quiet wherever it went. And now, Moona was a part of that quiet, floating gently and carrying stillness with her. Eventually, the moon began to lower toward the horizon. It was time to say goodnight. For real. Moona understood. She turned, floated back across the rooftops, back into the quiet bedroom, and settled softly beneath the child's dreaming head. She didn't need to ask where the moon went anymore. She had followed it, felt it, understood it. Now, she was filled with moonlight of her own. Tonight, rest your head gently on your pillow. It may not float, but it knows the moon's path, and it's ready to carry your dreams there too. Good night. Hello, little one. Tonight's story is about a single yawn, so gentle, so quiet, that it floated through the sky and helped the whole world fall asleep. In a quiet cottage near the edge of a sleepy forest, a girl named Mila let out a long, slow yawn. She had brushed her teeth, hugged her favorite stuffed bear, and climbed under her blanket. Then, with her eyes half closed, she yawned. So the softest, sleepiest yawn you've ever heard. But this was no ordinary yawn. This yawn was made of calm. It was light as a feather and warm as cocoa. It slipped out of Mila's mouth and drifted up and out through the window into the starry sky. The yawn floated gently, like a bubble made of dreams. First, it passed a barn where baby animals were rustling in the hay. As the yawn floated by, the lambs and calves blinked slowly and lay down to sleep. Then the yawn passed over a playground where the wind was still swinging one lonely swing. The swing slowed, then stopped. The whole park took a breath. The yawn kept going. It floated across cities and rooftops, over forests and fields. Wherever it went, lights dimmed, voices softened, and sleepy eyes blinked just one last time before closing. Far away, in a treehouse on a mountain, a boy looked up at the sky. He felt the yawn pass over him, like a warm breeze that whispered, "Shh." He yawned back, then snuggled into his sleeping bag and drifted off. Even the moon, watching from above, blinked a little slower. The stars twinkled gently, like they were sighing with relief. The yawn traveled all night, touching every corner of the world. And when it finally floated back to Mila's window, it curled into a small invisible loop and wrapped around her head like a lullaby scarf. She smiled in her sleep, never knowing that her tiny yawn had tucked the whole world in. So tonight, if you feel a yawn coming on, don't hold it back. Let it float. You never know who it might help sleep next. Good night.